Child doesn't need more content. A child needs a safe mirror that turns chaos into calm. COBY is building emotional tech for kids, an AI-powered, screen-free companion that helps kids ages 4 to 12 navigate emotions and routines without overstimulation. The conflict is simple. Parents are exhausted, children are dysregulated, and screens escalate the problem. David Kanna's links built COBY from lived experience and engineered it as a privacy-first, EU-hosted, and clinically informed, positioned for DACH early adopters and TikTok-native go-to-market. The payoff is a new category with real unit economics and not a feel-good gadget.
Welcome to Startuprad.io, your podcast and YouTube blog covering the German startup scene with news, interviews, and live events.
Today's guest is David Cañadas. Is that right? Cañadas?
That's right. That's my Spanish surname.
David Cañadas, Link co-founder and CEO of COBY. COBY is not entertainment, not therapy, and not a toy. It's emotional technology, screen-free, child-tailored AI inside a physical companion with parent control and boundaries designed into a system. This conversation sits at the intersection of voice AI, child well-being, and consumer hardware, where trust, privacy, and safety are not marketing points, but product architecture. David's true story begins with a progressive diagnosis and a hard question: how you stay grounded when certainty disappears. That personal inflection became a product thesis. Children live inside big emotions daily, and most households lack tools to de-escalate instead of distract. COBY's approach is clinically informed dialogue, predictable routines, and a gentle, ritualized close of the day, delivered through a plush companion that avoids the screen war entirely. We cover category creation, privacy, first AI design under EU expectations, TikTok as a distribution engine, and what it takes to ship hardware with real margins while staying ethically clean around children. That was already a lot. David, welcome to the interview.
Thank you so much for having me.
What event forced the first irreversible shift in how you think about uncertainty and control?
Amazing question. And there's quite a personal and life-altering story behind that. The event was 5 years ago. I was 29. I was wanting to make my Führerschein, so my driver's license for car. I had for motorbike. And I realized pretty fast that the person sitting next to me was seeing way more than me. Like, it was hinting me to, why didn't you see that sign and that sign? And there was a person. I was like, I don't know. Like, I don't know what you are telling me. And it went pretty fast. One thing led to the other. The eye doctor didn't want to tell me anything, sent me directly to a university clinic. They conducted many tests, and suddenly I was sitting in front of the professor. He told me I have the diagnosis morbus Stargardt, degenerative, genetic, incurable eye disease, that I was going to lose more sight, central vision. But I shouldn't be too afraid, because before I go totally blind, I will already be dead.
That was a fun conversation.
That was a heavy conversation, I have to say.
I see, yeah.
More if you were expecting to get new glasses, right? From there my personal journey started, and the life changes completely, right? You ask yourself, what am I gonna do without sight? I also like to paint canvas and pictures. Like, how am I gonna do this, or how am I gonna work? Will I be seeing the faces of my children, right? And the heavy part is that really, once that, at least in Germany, the medical system can't apply any more therapy to you, you're completely on your own. So there's no one helping you to adapt to that condition. How are you gonna live with it? How I'm gonna read? How I'm gonna be mobile, like mobility, and also how I'm gonna deal with my emotions regarding the disease and the progression of itself. So basically, how I'm gonna cope with it. I have to say there was a long journey from there of talking with many patients, being into patient communities like the ProRetina that really helped a lot. But where I also realized many people that are there are elderly, don't even use computers or smartphones. And it's really hard to really match with someone that actually understands. Even though if you have family and friends, no one has the same experience as you have. No one sees what you can see. No one goes through that, also the experience of losing sight. And it's a very, very difficult road to go alone. In my case, I think I was quite lucky in the sense that I'm quite a tech person. So I found my ways of adapting, right? Of finding the right tools on my smartphone, on my laptop. I'm right now zooming in and out all the time with my gaming mouse to see your face and so on. But still, I noticed there's a big lack in this, right? Now, from there on, many things happened. I talked with many patients, not only in the visually impaired community, but also through consulting projects in other communities, from back pain over asthma, over diabetes. And there came a point where we realized as an adult, at least you have, let's say, the resources or knowledge to find for yourself solutions or get in contact with people. But for example, with asthma kids, and that was when COBY really was born, we noticed kids don't have that type of resources. So here the problem is way bigger. Like if you have a heavy diagnosis or chronic condition as a kid, you're completely dependent on parents that want to have, but often don't have the time or knowledge to do so. Physicians or experts that you see all 2 years, if you're lucky, and that are really quite technical with the input that you give to you. And then your peers being other kids, usually you are one of a kind. So it's extremely difficult to find someone to relate. So we decided that's something where we really want to find a solution, want to make a change and give these kids a buddy, a companion on eyesight that can help them through this journey.
I see. And we may add, if you do have sick children, it is that the parents are more busy in providing care for them than really enable them to meet other children with the same condition. That's really a difficult point. I was wondering, are you willing or able to share? Because the doctor said uh, you may not live to completely lose your eyesight. What time horizon are you looking at here?
I think in my case, I have to say now, looking back, that I think I'm still quite lucky in a sense, like with the live, it just meant in a sense that I will live long. It doesn't affect now my normal lifespan, but the progression will be slow enough that I will not lose my total eyesight. So visual impairment is a spectrum, like in most diseases. And in my case, usually you have a visual impairment. Either you have central vision loss, what I have, so it's mostly known as macular degeneration, or you have peripheral loss. So that's mostly known retinitis pigmentosa. When you have periphery, then it's really about mobility because you cannot see any more objects in your periphery. So you don't see a stone on a chair if it's down beneath you. So you will need a white cane.
Or for example, you don't see a car coming from the left that would hit you.
Exactly. Now I see cars coming from the left, but I don't see details. So, well, in my case, I cannot read. So the progression was pretty fast. At that time, when I was diagnosed, I had 80% of visual acuity on my left eye and 60 on the right eye. Now I have 10 on the left eye and 5 on the right eye. So I'm officially impaired in Germany with 70%, but I'm very well adapted. So the good thing is I use many technical tools to zoom in, zoom out. And also in my disease, most of the times, that's kind of the main the main problem is the central vision loss because it doesn't expand too much over the whole retina. So hopefully that's the case. You never know for sure. But yeah, I hope it will not get much worse than it is right now.
Yeah, fingers crossed for you. Um, Going a little bit back to the story of COBY, what problem definition made you decide that children need like a physical companion and not an app?
That's a good question. So if you want to build a coping companion, meaning someone that you can also talk about problems, it's someone you will have to trust. And children, to build trust, they need something real. Like screens is something that actually nowadays I have myself a little daughter. Parents really, in many cases, it's the last resort they have for the kids, but they really want to avoid. And it's also more like a dopamine enhancing, like entertainment device, distracting device, but it's not like a real companion or something you can identify with. Now, also from therapeutic and psychological inputs that we have with the experts we were working with, puppet therapy is something that's extremely effective, and it's also used a lot in clinics. And the reason is these toys, puppets, small toys, for kids, they are on eyesight. They open way more to these toys than even to their parents or to the physicians, because they feel more like we are on the same hierarchy level, right? In many therapists explain to us that in the therapy sessions they have, the first half hour is just bringing down the child to really open himself, because it's so difficult, right? They are scared. What does this person want from me, and so on. So really finding a right medium in the sense of a cuddly plush toy that they know from their normal child life was one of the key points where we also saw in our testings that kids engage most. I mean, we had different prototypes. We also had hardware prototypes with amazing eyes and screens, and the eyes were interactive. Adults loved it. Kids were scared. Kids want something cuddly they can relate to, and that speaks their language.
Mhm, mhm. Yeah, the relation is very important. So I was wondering, when turning a product everybody else would see as a steady phone call, as an app or something, into a screen-free product, what was the first high-stake decision you have to make uh, to narrow COBY into this screen-free product and not like any other screen-based experience?
I mean, the thing is, we also made our market research. I think the main thing was really user interaction, so conducting many user tests. My co-founder Philip, picking up kids from the park and their parents, and we showing them different interfaces. Right? We showed them, for example, a tablet with a talking toy or a plush toy, and so on. The hardware robot, and kids were always engaged in the plushie. So that was one of the things. Also looking into the market, what other products out there were also are very successful. You see things like the Tony box, right? Also completely screen free, telling stories, or the Tip Toy, very successful product here in Germany. That worked extremely well and still are working very well. And one of the main points is really having the screen free, the screen free component. It's something that parents love, but also kids. For them, it feels way more natural actually to interact with screen free devices. If you think about it, I mean, as an adult, we're so accustomed to these devices, but as a kid, you come with your hands, with your eyes, right? With sensory, other sensory like attributes to this world that are actually not that fitted for screens. They are more fitted for something I can cuddle, I can take into my bed, I can take with me. Like I can look at them, I can have a conversation, and it feels more natural. Yeah, I mean, we learned most from our customer. From really, the kids were the ones that took the choice of the plushie, and still are doing so. Um, and and also the market seeing that these products are not many, but are really something that parents are really also looking a lot for. I know from my daughter, she's now 2.5. how I feel. Like I've done it really only seldom times, but 2 times I had my smartphone and she looked, I don't know, Pio Pio uh, was some song, and I really like she's instant in zombie mode, and I feel so bad if I see that. Like as a parent, you see that and you're like, I don't want this for my child. I want her to be happy. And also the next point, maybe that's not directly a point for the plush toy, but a really important point for the AI and the interaction itself is that's a two-way interaction. It's not one way. It's not you're just getting input and you just are digesting a story or a song or whatever, and you're like, okay, that's it. It's something where the AI always gets into interaction, makes short sentences, it paraphrases the kid, but it always asks the kid to follow up on the conversation. So that makes also a huge difference when you watch this, because you're noticing my kid is not in zombie mode. My kid is having a conversation, creating a story with someone by itself, and that also makes a huge difference.
I see. Yeah, and not having zombies is always pretty good. There is one sentence you thought the model to never say to your child, and it changes everything. Editor, cut this out. That was a world teaser, and apparently that one was bad. Forget it, David. Let's go to the next question. What moment in early testing exposed the gap between what parents say they want and what actually works at 7:30 p.m.?
You mean with our entry use case, going to sleep? I mean, I have to say, many parents know that what they expect from the nighttime is very different from reality already. We notice a lot, like going to sleep, bringing kids to sleep is one of the most crucial moments in every day's life for every parent. You expect that everything goes by itself, right? But it's not only going to bed, like it's brushing your teeth, it's putting on the pajama, it's reading the goodnight story. And often not even then the kids are done. Like they are still awake, they still want action, they still want to go into the living room, they want to be with the parents, they can't shut down. And this is something that is even more detrimental in cases like kids having ADHD, something extremely common nowadays, or also separated families, right? Where one parent has to take care of the whole process by himself. And also the kid is, for example, crying for the other parent or so on. So the expectation of parents is that this goes by itself or as smoothly as it should or could, but in many cases that isn't the reality. Now, often, really, one of the things that many have to rely on is, for example, putting a screen in between, like TV, or kid plays a game, then I can at least clean the kitchen, right? Because these are the other chores that you have to do. But with COBY, it's something totally different. So first of all, he co-manages these processes. So for example, brushing teeth can be something quite boring if it's always the same that you do each night. But if you have COBY there and the toothbrush is suddenly a train and your teeth are the vias of the train, then he's creating a gamified story out of it that makes it way more special for the kid and also engaging to do that type of activity. Same applies for putting on their clothes. Then we also have strategies, for example, implemented that we also are working together with psychosocial therapists for this. Kids have to bring first COBY to bed, but he doesn't want to go to sleep. And that's how kids learn. They learn through making things themselves, through interaction, through experiencing it. And that's how they get like the perspective of the parents also, something that is shown to be very effective. We also don't cut off the parents of the interaction itself. So once COBY goes to sleep, still mama and papa comes for the good night story. It's not like a replacement, but it's a co-manager that can take on certain parts of this process, and also open a bit of time for the parents to, for example, make other chores a day. Also, parents have always total control over how this routine is conducted through an app. So they can also change parts of it or overtake them themselves completely. So they are always in control. And COBY is also always loyal to them.
I do believe it's very important to have the security, the safety, that they know they can rely on the COBY or whatever the name they give to the pet. What principle governs COBY's emotional dialogue when the child is dysregulated?
There are few things coming to that. I mean, one thing that he does, it's kind of basic, but already makes a huge difference, is basically emotional paraphrasing. So acknowledging the emotion, saying, I understand that you're angry because of this and that, and so on. So that's already something that often we notice also in families doesn't happen that often, and that also has a reason why it's not happening that often. So this is the first part of emotional regulation. So really acknowledging the emotion, naming the emotion, and kind of having an understanding, and also saying and understanding why the kid is feeling this or that way. The next thing that COBY does, he's kind of a mediator. I want to give you an example, right? So the other day, for example, we were testing with a family, also with two ADHD kids. I like them a lot, are really good friends, and I also like the kids a lot. But they are really something extremely, overpowered many times, and always trying to test and really, building their own rules. And I notice, the parents are very stressed, and the father, he loves his kids, but if he sees at the dinner table, right, that his son is again throwing the spaghetti through the whole table because now there's a visitor there and they're excited, whatever. For sure, he gets streng, you would say, in German. So he tells him, hey, you cannot do that, and so on. And that has his reason, for sure. He's father. He has a certain responsibility towards his kids, right? He also wants them to behave well, also if others are there or if they may be somewhere else. Now, the kid was very sad, because often they don't understand the reaction of the parents in that moment, right? They think it's something personal. What COBY does, he's kind of a mediator. So he helps the kids reflect on why the parents are reacting this or that way, that it's not meant in a bad way. Something that in the position that parents are in that situation, that they are maybe not capable to do due to their responsibility, but COBY can be the perfect mediator for this kind of situations. So that would be one example. But yeah, one of the key things really to dealing with big emotions is really acknowledging the emotions, naming the emotions, and kind of, helping the kid to understand that what he is feeling is normal, that there's a reason for it, but that he can also handle it. And then they learn through time what these emotions actually are. And when they feel it, they can react accordingly.
What trade-off did you accept to keep the product privacy first while still feeling responsive and alive?
Let's go. This is kind of a technical question.
Sometimes we do that.
Trade-offs. We're now building our first 100 series, and from there on, we will also, the next step will be to go to the scale through China. So I think there will be a few technical shifts and trade-offs still. But to say how it is right now, basically what we have is, you would say an Alexa inside of a plush toy. It's a mini computer for kids. It has a microcontroller, so I think it's a certain type of Raspberry Pi module. And then what it has is three key components: a really good microphone, speakers, and lights. Light is extremely important that we use for communication, but also for emotional reflection and other type of interactions. A belly light, it's on COBY. Now, what we realized pretty fast, okay, do you bring the AI on the device itself? That's almost impossible to do this without making the plush toy extremely expensive. So the third thing was, okay, where do we place the AI? For that, we found a solution of it will be server hosted, so the device is connected to the Wi-Fi, but it cannot be hosted with one of this, let's say, standard US companies like OpenAI, Gemini, and so on, because then you directly have data compliancy problems. Data is also sent to the US and so on. You cannot control it or manage it. So the first thing, or let's say trade-off, was we need to have our European servers with our own models trained by our own experts where we have full control over the data. Those are streamed via Wi-Fi to the device. But that's not all, because the next problem is the more power you put on the device, the more expensive it still gets, because battery gets more expensive, everything gets more expensive. So
And I would assume you also need to recharge the battery more often.
You need to recharge more often, and there are more processes happening than just AI, like text to speech, speech to text, for example. You also need to do things in terms of data security and data anonymization, that you screen the text from the kit. You screen through any type of personal data that he might say, like an address and so on, and it gets erased before it gets streamed to the model. So these are kind of a lot of processes that if you do them on device, again, you have the problem. The toy costs 600 euros, what we don't want. Our price point right now is 199, and we want to keep it that way. But to make it that, and that's already premium, right? So what you have to do is you need another computing system. In this case, the trade-off is the mobile phone of the parents. So basically, we use a similar strategy actually that the Meta Ray-Ban glasses. So part of the computing happens on the smartphone of the parents. In the back, im Hintergrund, so the app doesn't have
in the background. Mm-hmm.
Exactly, in the background. So there you have the text to speech, speech to text, and also the filtering. The AI is then on our own local service, so with a cloud provider. And really on the computer itself, only the most basic things happen in the sense of really getting the data to the smartphone and also having, let's say, the right synchronization between microphone, speakers, and the light, right? So that's kind of the system, how we build it to make it work. Also having into account all the stakes that we set ourselves for data privacy and anonymization.
Of our audience, I just want to hint, if your household runs the evening cycle of conflict, keep listening and measure every claim against the reality of bedtime. As a parent myself, I think that's be important. What inflection point moved COBY from nice idea to a category with momentum in your own mind?
Good question. So, as I said, I had a diagnosis, talking with many patients. I was innovation consultant, also with AI focus in the healthcare and automotive industries in Germany. And then basically I was involved in bigger projects also in the healthcare system. And it was really talking with many patients and seeing, okay, this coping problem is a real thing. Then the AI bubble happened, and then my university, the Hochschule München, it was really a Zufall, I don't know, coincidence. I already had the idea in my head, right? And it's something like you tell people while drinking a coffee, like, hey, don't you think that this would be something cool? And then my university just wrote me an email saying, hey, here's an award, Stoschek Award. Do you have an idea? Don't you want to apply? 5,000 euros, you can win, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, okay, if you ask, then I may have something. yeah, I applied for it. We won the award, or in that case, it was me myself alone. But yeah, that was really the first point, and many things happened from then. Like also I had done a few differences with my employer that was like, hey, this idea, they had other plans with me that was not spoken with me. I really decided I want to do this. I had backup by the incubator, my university, and I really, went all into this project. At the beginning, I was still consulting a bit, freelance, but then I saw right the traction we were getting first in this academic sector, right. So the first thing was building partnerships, building a team. My co-founders also that I'm super proud of to have. We're right now 3 co-founders, but in total 7 persons. So that was a huge thing, but also really getting institutional partners, right? Like the LMU Klinikum, that were also totally convinced of the necessity of such a type of product. Now, since then, it's almost, I would say 1.5 to 2 years, and interest and traction is rising. We were not that long ago in the ADHD podcast. We're getting emails from parents one day telling us we would need 4 COBYs. We want to test. We will do this. We will do that. We're having pre-orders and just having all this support of the community, of the team, but also seeing that with what we're building, we are solving a real problem. That is what made for me and is still making the huge difference also in comparison to what I was doing before. That still it was good job and professional job, but with this I feel like I'm solving something that means a lot to me, and life would be way better with COBYs in it. I'm totally convinced of that.
Saying that life would be better just between you and me, two fathers. What does a successful bedtime routine with COBY look like in 3 observable steps? And keep in mind, it's just between you and me and something like 100,000 listeners of the podcast.
So how would it look? First of all, you would have kind of a routine starter, right? You would say, "Hey, it's bedtime time," but it wouldn't be what it usually is like. No, I don't want to go to bed. It would be like, "Oh yeah, cool, I'm going to COBY. I can start a cool routine that actually I'm looking forward to today." Then first the kids, you see, okay, they are already with COBY, going to the bathroom, putting on their pajama. As a parent, you're cleaning the kitchen and you're happy that that thing is done. Um, and then once you see they are already with COBY in bed and having like the good night interaction and story, you come and you see, oh, is COBY already sleeping? Good. Then let me tell you the good night story. And now Kit is really kind of brought down. All the let's say standard processes are done, and he goes to sleep, and COBY is also sleeping. But it doesn't end there. At the morning, COBY is also there, managing morning routines, right? Um, so there he also helps, like you wake up the kid, COBY helps him, like, hey, do you have everything for school? Do you have this and that? But also makes kind of a cool interaction for the kid for that while you can prepare breakfast, right? You come back to the room and the kid is really prepared to go out and you don't have to do it all by yourself. So he had a co-manager there. On top of that, what also would be different is, for example, in evening times, right? You see the kid is bored. He's like, hey, can I play PlayStation? Can I do this or that? Or maybe you just have another work meeting for half an hour where you don't know what to do. Now you can give him a COBY. And you know that in that time, the kid will have a meaningful and a good interaction with this device that will actually not just be entertaining for the kid, but also teach him important skills like social skills, other learning skills, and more things that we're thinking of for the future, right? But you know that you're giving him a device that will not zone him out or just influence him with 1,000 different inputs, but really create a meaningful interaction where he actually takes something from it, but where he also has to actively engage into the device itself. So that would be the difference, and also something you can rely on. That even if something bad happens, you would get informed.
I see. I was wondering, what is like the single metrics you track that predicts retention and reduced conflict, maybe even at your home?
That's a good question. I would even have to look into my deck. I know we had written them down. Wait a second. But one was time to bed was one of the metrics. The other one was um, the how often tantrums happened and meltdowns after COBY usage, also after COBY long-term usage. I know we had a third one, but I wouldn't know right now which one it was. We had this in the deck somewhere, but these were for sure two of them. Time to sleep, um, and also here. Oh, here. Time to sleep, evening conflicts, homework minutes. I mean, this is our second use case. It's not the first focus because startup we have to start with something, but homework minutes is also one. I mean, we're focusing also with ADHD. How do I make homework digestible for ADHD kids? How do I break it down in 5 minutes categories and so on? So that would also be one. Yeah.
Just wondering how many of our listeners are entrepreneurs that tracking KPIs at home themselves. Just a quick teaser here. This episode is supported by Startuprad.io, where professionals get the signal. Next, we're talking about the contrarian reasons most child well-being tech fails, and even with great intentions. What is the most common failure mode you see in a screen-based coping tool for children?
What fails the most?
Yeah.
Pretty clear. If you start asking directly for problems. Let's say the coping mode. We have different modes, storytelling, giggly mode, and so on. Always even more if kids get to know COBY, you start engaging into coping mode in the sense like, hey, did you have any problems and so on? That's never seen good. And there are good reasons for it. It's like getting to know a new human being, even as an adult. If you get to know someone and like third or fourth question in, it's like, what are your problems? You would be like, sorry, but I don't know you even. Why should I tell you that? So this is something where we really know to get to the point, to have the trust to talk about the problems with the toy. You have to go over a set of other type of interactions and positive experience to get to the level. So this is one of the major turn. Also, it depends always on when you put it on the journey.
What decision did you make that put you at odds with standard consumer growth playbooks?
Yeah. So let's say when we started, we were working together with the LMU Klinikum. So really thinking of putting COBY in a clinical setup. So also motivated right from my diagnosis. The big dream was always, hey, you get a diagnosis and you get for free a COBY.
We may add that LMU is one of the premier universities in Munich, and they do have a university clinic for everybody who's not familiar with them. Sorry for interrupting.
One of the biggest in Germany, actually, the LMU Klinikum. And there it was like we had extremely high data security, let's say requirements. So it would have meant to have our own servers, something extremely expensive. If you don't have a lot of users, you would have to have them implemented in the clinic itself. So that was something that it was really not feasible as such an early stage startup to set up, and would also have been a high risk if we would have invested the money actually in that hardware at that time. From there on, we started looking for other solutions. AWS actually was a good solution because they have the European hosted servers, and also kind of as a big company can apply to the regulations. Now, the good thing also in our case is that we are noticing there are many other players coming on the market, also in European network, with whom we are also talking. Also a smaller startup, but good invested startup players that even add more layers of security with mathematical algorithms for data anonymization, etc., etc. where we're also thinking into merging one day. And one of the big advantages of this AI, let's say, stream that we're in is that you can train on large cloud servers like AWS. But once you trained your model there, you can basically copy it anywhere you want. So I think this is like we learned that going the hardware yourself way wasn't the right way. Going the cloud way is a good intermediary way, even if you go with the big ones, because the models that you have, you can always copy and transfer them to another solution once those new solutions get on the market. And that's what we're seeing right now, and also always digging deeper into it.
Mm-hmm. I see. What internal rule do you use to separate clinically informed from therapy theater?
From therapy?
Theater, just theater, all the stuff that influencers really do reach sometimes, say, and that are not really grounded in any science. What rule do you use to separate that?
So first of all, in our team, from the work with the clinicians, we got to know Sonja Fischbach. And Sonja Fischbach has over 25 years of experience as a puppet therapist in clinic context, and actually also explained to us all the complexity when it comes to interacting with children in conversations. Like there are many things, like which words you can use for which age group, when, and whatnot. So first of all, we got the knowledge by having many conversations and interviews together. And then we built a strategy to how do we make our models safe and also clinically informed for that. There are basically two major, let's say, security thresholds that we use for that. First of all, we use agent systems. So we have for sure our native prompt engineering of COBY, also our fine-tuned model with synthetic child conversations. But now we use agents that kind of simulate attacks, right? They simulate having conversations about sex or harmful conversations. And we really make sure that doesn't matter from which angle you attack the model with agents with thousands and thousands of prompts, it never fails in this type of situations. So that's the first thing to do. The second thing we do to make it also clinically informed is that through the collaboration with Sonja and also with the clinic, we have now an expert network. And always before we release any type of COBY system to kids, it first gets validated through them. So they get the COBY first at hand. They test him on all varieties of conversations or on all varieties of triggers they know from their lifelong experience as child experts to see if they can bring it to say something harmful or do something bad. And we think that's a really good approach. So we have the qualitative and the quantitative approach to say so, to make it as secure and clinically informed as possible.
What must be true by March for you to claim COBY is positioned exactly how you want it, meaning like end of Q1 2026?
Mm-hmm. Exactly the time where we want to also start for the bigger pre-seed round. By then.
What a coincidence.
What a coincidence. So actually, it's just that we execute, and we're doing it already on all the plans on our milestone. So that means we will have our full functioning prototype, at least one version, but by then we should have more, like up to, number is switching, but I would say up to 50 versions built by ourselves. So the hardware, we're building it really in our office, the plush toy in Hungary. So they are standing in our office, and the first of them are already in the hands of these experts and trusted families that are, let's say, deep testing them. That's the first thing. The second thing is that the AI is already completely set up on our servers. The agentic tests have already been conducted. And also everything regarding voice interaction works properly. Also, it's a big and important field. We're in the midst of this trend. Have learned a lot there, but this is smooth and latency free. And these early stage prototypes really give a seamless experience to the kids, but also to the parents.
We've been talking TikTok before. And everybody knows there are TikTok shop around. So what's your go-to market thesis for TikTok shop without turning the product into novelty?
So when it comes to TikTok, first thing to say is we've grown an organic community for COBY on TikTok in the last 4 months of over 14,000 followers, all parents. And we've done that not by selling our product, but by talking of the problems and stress factors that parents experience every day with kids, and also giving their already practical coping tips on how to manage positively those situations. And with that, we got really quite a lot of traction. Many engaged users. The most engaging case was going to sleep. And we also have built an organic funnel to our website. So right now in December, we have already 100 pre-orders. But the interesting part about these pre-orders is that we have spent €0 on ads, but we have also never even said that it's possible to pre-order COBY. So they are absolutely organic. These are really people seeing us on Instagram, on TikTok, or hearing us on a podcast and going on our website and pre-ordering. So we're really proud of that. We think we can leverage that number substantially once we invest more and also proclaim more that we're actually selling COBY. And we'll also then use all the different strategies that one gets in this TikTok shop, right? But the main part, I think it's less about marketing and ad strategies, and it's more about trust. It's like for us, it's important to build trust with the community, to keep them updated, to show them how we're building this product, how we care, to bring also the experts, like we're doing videos with them and showing like, hey, these are the people that are building this product. This is the actual way we want to go to. And we also see that these are other type of customers that we get that really see that we care about this and engage a lot into our product and our mission.
Mhm. I was wondering, a lot of VCs are talking about defendable moats. So what moat matters most in your market? Proprietary child-safe AI, brand trust, or distribution?
Actually, all of those are really relevant. Distribution, we got it. That's one of the most important modes. So we could sell directly quite a lot of COBYs. Then the next thing is proprietary AI. There are two parts of it. One is making child-safe AI, but the other thing that we're doing, and it will be the first one in Europe, I can tell for sure, is making also expert trained. So we're also using rec training and so on. We'll have an own library for it. So we want to be the most trusted and safe AI toy in Europe, trained by experts. So really having both of that. To have this expert trained AI, you also need the expert network to do so. Also a big proprietary mode. And besides that, we have, and I think like from all the other toys I've seen, they don't bring this. We have a real story. COBY is a chameleon dragon. He comes from the forest of colors, where colors are emotions. And he comes to help kids to learn those. And stories are what really drives kids and families. And the COBY character that we're building is building up this brand and storyline. It's not just the next plush toy next to the other 15. He really has a character, and we want to build a personality behind it that people can relate to and remember also as a real entity. So these are the main ones: distribution, AI innovation, and also story, character, and design, to say so. And we have a patent that on top, but yeah, we have a few patents also that, I mean, maybe to make it more investor friendly.
Thinking about like all the hard decisions you have to do, what is the hardest compliance expectations you are designing for, and what did it force you to change?
I mean, the hardest compliance is really, and it's what we're getting asked most in investor things, is the safety guardrails when it comes to AI for kids. what we had to change, I already said a bit, we had to change the strategy of going from the clinic, going to the other. We had to learn a lot about what does a high-risk AI system even mean in the European Union. And also we had to do tech things, right? So having cloud-based models that are on European land, that apply all these security measures, having anonymization and pseudo-anonymization, meaning that you don't get any type of personal data of the user. We only need the email address and bank account one day, but all the other things get abstracted. Having the technical layers, like what I said before, of screening the conversation. So I think this was the bigger thing, like seeing how important it is to have the secure AI system and what you have to therefore do on a tech base to really achieve that.
Mm-hmm. 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 Um, you always have to do important and difficult decision as an entrepreneur. We just talked about modes, we talked about compliance, but what threat do you take most seriously over the next 12 months? Is it a competitor? Is it regulation? Is it manufacturing or just erosion of trust in your product?
That's a good one. It's not competitor. I can tell that directly. We focus on the customer. And the most important thing is that we are building a product that solves a problem for our customer that our customers love. That's the first thing that we're doing. That's the point where we want to be with our first own made in-house prototypes. That's the first big thing. Once I see really there's a high engagement for a long time and customers also give us back that they love it and it solves a problem, I think that's the first big milestone. Once we have that, then it will be manufacturing. That's also a funny one. I'm really happy to get to know anyone. I mean, we are early stage startup. No one of us has really built a big manufacturing process through, for example, China or others. I think it will be the next one. But still, the main focus is really the customer, solving the problem for them, building a product they love. That's the most important part. And then the second part will be the manufacturing part for sure. Also translating our hardware requirements to Chinese or Vietnamese requirements. We have experts on board that will help us in this process, but still it's a big thing. We know that. We're looking forward to it.
I was just thinking, I'm pretty sure one of your competitors is listening, and I was laughing when you said, "Oh, we're not worried too much about our competition." Okay, I see that that's some self confidence. You're a parent. I'm a parent, so I was wondering what belief about parenting did you hold early that you had to abandon as CEO/father? Mostly as CEO, but also give us a hint about being a father from your point of view.
Yeah. Things that, or maybe let's talk about being a father. I thought really like, I'm quite an empathetic and fun person. That's odd that I have this little daughter. And one thing was, I thought like, I will figure everything out. I will kind of feel what she needs or wants or whatever she will tell me. But that's not the case. Like, I was really like, kids, they say they want this or that, but actually what lies behind is a need that you really have to understand. And I was impressed how difficult it is to get back to it. My daughter always asking for milk at night. She was not needing a milk. Like there was another strategy of doing it. And that was something I really had to learn as a parent. And it was not that obvious. I was really astonished about that, and was also thinking that I think also my parents, there might have been many needs that I wasn't able to communicate in the right way, and they didn't even see. And I think this leads to many, maybe not that happy memories of how things could have been done. And I'm trying to do my best as a parent to really understand like my kid, the who she is, how she is, what she actually needs, make the right interpretation, but also behave in the right manner to let's say, raise her to the most beautiful and powerful woman she could ever be.
Talked about difficult situations here. What mental model do you use to stay decisive when the product sits inside vulnerable moments?
You always have to be positive. Vulnerable moments, I think it's also a bit of abstraction of yourself, of the issue itself. So really analyzing what are the key problems or issues that you actually have. Prioritizing is extremely important to really understand what should I spend most of my time with, what is the most important problem to tackle right now. I think these are some of the parts of the mental model. Also, not taking every hit as a loss. It's always a learning journey. I think it's so important to learn about from each mistake. But on top of that, and I think that's the difficulty as a founder, is you have to do it in a team. So it's never enough if you learn alone. You have to take the other people mid on your journey, and that starts with the co-founders. That are extremely important and also give you a lot of resistance when one tackles these issues and problems that come along the way. And I don't know, I've heard once, and I think this helps me sometimes a lot to think of that. The brightest, the best moments, they will pass. And the worst and really baddest moments, they will also pass. So all will pass. Just take it like that. It's never as good and it's never as bad as you think. It's always a part of the journey. And you just have to keep walking.
There are two sayings that always helped me when I was doing projects, and I was doing international high pressure, high stakes projects for 1.5 decades. One of them is the typical saying, it works in German, it works in English. Sometimes you're the tree, sometimes you're the dog. It always helps us to put this in perspective. And the second one, I read it in the book. 5 years from now, you laugh at everything that annoys you, that stresses you out, that keeps you up awake at night. But why wait?
Absolutely, absolutely. Let me add one of these from my father always. I think it's a Chinese one. If you have a problem, there are two ways. Either you can solve it, then you shouldn't worry about it. Or you cannot solve it, then you also shouldn't worry about it.
Good one, good one. We'll close with the two frequent questions. Are you open to talk to new investors?
Yes, we're super happy and open to talk to new investors. We're funded with Exist, now also applying to other fundings in Germany. But really people in the field, also angel investors, also I told about manufacturing and so on, would be super happy to talk with them and bring some people on board that also care about what we're doing, also about the B2C product, something not that usual, at least in Germany. And would like to join our impact journey.
Awesome, great. I think you're also looking for talented employees to join you.
Yes, that's always the case. Talent employees, the focuses that we always are looking for is AI is always super interesting. But also people that are good into hardware, mechatronics, robotics, but even up to things that go into design or interaction for children is also super interesting for us. Child games, conversational games. I mean, we're a voice AI system. So everyone from that field is always super happy, even as an employee, but also as partners. As chameleons, we are super collaborative and cheerful, collaborators in the market.
This interview will go live as the last one in January 2026, but we're recording it pre-Christmas, so I skip saying Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, because it's all in the past for us now. David, thank you very much. It was such a pleasure having you as a guest here. Really enjoyed it.
Jan, thank you so much for giving us this opportunity. It was a pleasure talking to you.
COBY is building emotional technology for children with a screen-free companion, privacy-first AI hosted in the EU, and parent-controlled routines designed to reduce conflict at home. David, link is clear on the category line. No entertainment, no therapy, not a toy. Emotional tech that translates feeling into calm and predictable closure. You can find COBY at COBY.care. If you want the next layer, the decisions you don't publish publicly, Founders World is where that lives.
That's all, folks. Find more news, streams, events, and interviews at www.startuprad.io. Remember, sharing is caring.